So conditional iteration, the while loop. Conditional, you remember what a condition is, right? Condition is a Boolean expression. If it's true, that condition is true. If it's the Boolean condition is the Boolean expression yields false, then you will not do something. So loop and if elif statements, they are all based on the condition, which is a Boolean expression. So the while loop can be used to describe conditional iteration. There is not a fixed number of times to run a loop. So if you remember the for loop, okay, the for loop, you can, let me start this. For the for loop, you have a fixed number of times to run. For I in range 100. So let me ask you, how many times will this loop run? Everybody?
100 times.
100 times. Yes.
Starting from 0 to 99 though.
Yes, because I will start at 0 and then this, remember, this will give you a list. So the list will be 0 to 99 and I will become 0 and then 1, then 2, then 3. So that is a fixed number of times, right? This will run a fixed number of times. Let's print I. And you will see, right? That is starting from 0 and ending at 99. So this is called a fixed loop. Here we are talking about there is not a fixed number of times to run the loop, but the user decides when to stop. So for example, a program's input loop that accepts values until the user enters a sentinel value that terminates the input. A program asks the user to enter students' grades until the user enters quit to stop. So that means these kind of loops are decided by the user. When do you want to quit, right? So that is different from the for loop. Okay, the structure and behavior of a while loop. So let's look at this loop. Okay, this is a condition, if you remember, and it's a Boolean expression. A Boolean expression has only two values, true or false, right? Okay, if it's true, you execute the loop body. These are the statements in the loop body. After that, the flow of control, that means the system goes back to reevaluate the condition. If the condition is true, it repeats this action and then goes back. If the condition is false, it gets out. Okay, bypass the loop body. So this is the while loop. You evaluate the condition. If it's true, you go to the loop body. At the end of the loop body, you go back. That's very important. You go back to reevaluate the condition. If it's true, you continue, you repeat this action. If not, you get out. Okay, so that is the flow chart for the while loop. Now, so here is the while condition, and this is the PowerPoint automatically corrected. It should go in, it should be indented. Okay, I will correct that. Improper use may lead to infinite loop. While loop is also called entry control loop. That means whether you can go to the loop body is controlled. So if this condition is not true, you are denied entry to the loop body, basically. So that's why we call it entry controlled loop. Okay, it's not automatically, you are not automatically accepted. So the condition is tested at top of the loop. Statements within loop can execute the 0 or more times. If this is not true, these statements will not be executed. That's what that means. Okay. Let's look at some example. Oh, I put this here. So rules for a while loop. So what are the rules? Okay. If you look at this for loop, okay, if you look at this for loop, you have a variable here, this I, and it will change. It will be initialized to 0, remember, right? The first time it's 0, and then it will change to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, etc. And there is a fixed number of times to run. So this is actually called a loop control variable because its value decides whether you continue with the loop. When it's 0, you continue. When it's 1, you continue. When it's 100, you stop, right? So here, you will always have this loop control variable, and you need to initialize it to a valid value. And then you will have a logically correct condition. And then you need to update the loop control variable in the loop body so that the loop will eventually stop. Okay, so in the following example, count is the loop control variable, and these are the update statements. So let's look at this. Okay, I put this here so that you can see the difference. This is the for loop, and this is the corresponding while loop. So let's look at the difference. Okay, the for loop. So for count in range 100, print count. We did that, right? And you can see that's the result. Now, if you want to do exactly the same thing with the while loop, this is how you do it. Remember, I said initialize the loop control variable. So we want to use count to control the loop. So we initialize it to 0, just like this one is initialized to 0 the first time, right? So count is initialized to 0, and while, that's the keyword you must use. Just like this, for is the keyword. So while is the keyword. Count is less than 100. Remember, in this loop, count starts from 0 and then 1, then 2, then 3. It's less than 100, right? So here, that's the condition. The reason is you start from 0 and you want to reach 100. So your condition should be count is less than 100. When this condition is true, you print it out. And so that's the logically correct condition. And then you need to remember to update the loop control variable. Because you are going from 0 to 100, you are going up. So you increase, you increment your count, your loop control variable. This way, the next time it's 1, the next time it's 2, 3, 4. And when it's 99, it still prints out. But when it's 100, this condition is not true anymore, right? When count is 100, the condition is false, so it gets out. That's how this is done. Let's write this, okay? So I'm going to do this exactly like that. So we will initialize this I, because I used I here, right? I'm going to initialize it to 0. And while I is less than 100, because our range is 100, okay? That's the syntax, while, okay? That's the keyword, and this is a condition followed by the colon. Okay, and then we print it out, I, and then remember to update your loop control variable, and that's it, right? And you can see now we start from 0 and we go all the way to 99. So that is how this is done. Do you have any questions, everybody? How about I will give you a minute or two to let you register this concept, okay? Okay, the next one, this is a for loop, right? This is the variable, and this time we have a starting point. For this one, when you don't have the first argument, you start automatically from 0. For this one now, I'm declaring I want to start from 1, and I want to stop before 101. So this will really print out 1 to 100, right? Let's do that. Okay, for count, I will just use count in range 101, print count. Okay, so you can see this starts from 1, right? Because we dictated that, and it stops before the second argument. So 100. Now, if you do that with a while loop, you will initialize count. Oops. You will initialize count to 1 because that's what this says, right? It says starts from 1. We want to do exactly the same as the for loop. So you start from 1, and while you don't have to use the parentheses. I often do because that's the habit from Java. So count is less than 101. And print. Print what? Print count, right? Okay, and always remember, here you do not need to update count because it automatically, because remember, this gives you a list. So you will have 1, 2, 3, 4 automatically in the list. So count changes from 1 to 2 to 3 automatically. You don't have to do anything. Here with the while loop, you have to remember to update count, okay? So, and this does exactly the same thing, right? 1 to 100. And that is this loop. Have a look. This is what we did here. And once again, the difference is that for this one, you do not need to do anything. Everything, the initialization and update are all done, done in this for loop header. Versus here, you have to do it manually. Initialize it and update it and have the condition. So you have to do these things manually with a while loop. With a for loop, no, it's right here, all in the header. You just need to specify it. Any questions? Now let's look at this one, okay? This is for count in range. And if you remember, what does this do? This means you start from 100 and you stop before 0, and you decrement by 1, right? The step, the interval is -1 because you are starting from 100, you are going down. So that's the negative step. So let's do that here. Okay, so for count in range, can you see my typing right here? It's at the bottom of my screen. Can you see
I can
it,
see it.
everybody?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, good. So 100, and then we have 0, right? And then -1, and you just print count. Remember, you don't need to do anything because everything is specified in this for loop header. So it's very simple and straightforward. And you can see we started from 100. That's the starting number. We stopped before this number. Remember, that's the value that's not included. We call that exclusive, right? So it's not included. It stops. After 1, it stops. And because we specified -1, so it goes down that way. Okay, let me pause. Okay, so you see that, right? Now let's do the while loop. And this is the for loop, everybody, right? Okay, let me do the while loop. So we need to initialize our count to what? To 100. That's the starting value. So we initialize it to 100. And the condition, while is the keyword, condition. So since we start from 100 and we are going down to 0, we need to do, when do we stop? When it's 0, right? When it is greater than 0, we will continue. So this time it's greater than 0. And we print count. And since we are going down from 100 to 0, we are going down. We need to decrease. So count should be minus equal to 1. Remember, count minus equal to 1 means count is equal to count minus 1, right? Okay. So it achieves exactly the same effect. That is the difference between a for loop and a while loop. Any questions about that? Everybody, any questions?
Mm.
No? Okay. How about this? You print out hello world 100 times using a while loop. Okay, I will let you do that. Print out hello world 100 times using a while loop. Okay, I'm going to pause recording. I will give you 5 minutes. Okay, so yes, Zachary, can you move your mouse pointer? I think it's, yes, okay. So your loop control variable is hello, you called it hello, and you initialize it to 1. And then you said while hello is less than or equal to 100, right? So you start from 1 and then equal to 100, that's 100 times. Print out hello world, and then increment hello. So hello plus equal to 1, that's correct. Very good, very good. Okay, correct, thank you.
Funny thing happened while I was doing it.
So you were broken off, you were intermittent just now, so I couldn't hear what you said, but yeah, this is correct. This is absolutely correct, Omkar. You initialize I to 0, and so the condition is less than 100. Zachary initialized it to 1, and so he has less than or equal to 100. Everybody, that's the difference, okay? So yes, correct. Okay, the adding, that's the updating. Okay, okay. So the simplest, this is the simplest way of using the while loop. And when you use the while loop, there are 3 things you need to remember. Initialize the loop control variable, make your condition correct, and make sure you update. Those are the 3 things, and I put it here, the rules, right? Make sure you remember those. So let's see what will happen if you don't follow the rules, okay? Count is equal to 0 while okay, so if I run this, what's wrong with this code segment, everybody? What's wrong?
You have to, count has to change in some way.
Count has to change. Exactly, Justin. Count has to change. If you don't change count, count will always be 0. And 0 is always less than 100. And so this loop will never end. It just continues. It never ends. So you will manually control C to end it. Okay, because it is called an infinite loop. It never ends. I'm going up, up, up. You see how many it has printed because I don't have the update. So when you have things like this, check your loop and see if it is the problem of updating. You may never have updated. Okay, let me give you another example. So another example, okay, count is 0, and while count is less, this time I'm going to do this. Okay, print hello. And count plus equal to 1. So what's wrong with this loop, everybody?
The sign is the wrong way. It should be less than 100.
Yes, the sign, the operator, comparison operator is wrong here, right? I use less greater than. And think about it, count is 0. So 0 is greater than 100. This is never true. This will not be true the very first time. So you will bypass the loop body and do nothing, right? It's because the condition is not true. So if you look at this, you do have the initialization and you do have the condition and you do have the update. However, your condition is not logically correct. And here I have a logically correct condition, right? So that is very, very important. Any questions about this, everybody? Okay, let's look at another example. Okay, this example, so here, if you look at these are still, most likely, most often, these are still definitive loops, because it runs a definitive number of times, right? So you can use, so in that sense, a while loop is exactly the same as a for loop. But this example will show you why we say a while loop will let the user decide when to stop. So let's look at this example. Data is the loop control variable. This should be lowercase, okay? Data is the loop control variable. So we have a variable, the sum 0.0, and data is equal to input whatever the user enters, okay? While data is not equal to empty space, empty, nothing. This is not even a space. This is nothing, empty string. So this is not equal to, this is saying while data is not equal to nothing, empty string, if data is something, anything, right? You will convert that data to a float and assign it to number. So let me ask you, why do we convert it to a float, everybody? Why do we need to do that? Why do we need to convert it to a float?
Is it because the sum is a decimal? As a decimal?
Yes, Macrin, that was you, right?
Yes.
Okay, it is because we are using it as a number to accumulate the sum. Do you like this, or do you like the highlighter? The pen?
That's good.
This is good, everybody? You like this? No opinion? Okay.
The pen.
You like the pen? Okay. So let's look at this. So we are converting this to a float because in the next line, we are doing a sum accumulation. So this data must be a number. So this is not a number here. This is a string because we never convert it, right? So data here is a string. And here we are converting it to a number, and then we can use it to add to sum. And then we do this. So let me ask you, data is a string. So here we can do, if the string is not empty, right? Because it's a string, so we can remember when you do a comparison, you must compare apples with apples and oranges with oranges. You cannot compare a string with a number. You cannot compare a number with a string. So here, data is a string, and you're comparing it with a string. Okay. So why don't we convert it to a number here? Why don't we use int? Because we need to do a comparison with a string. So we don't convert it here, but we convert it here. That's why. Okay. So we convert it here, and then we add that number to sum. So sum originally is 0, and then we add whatever you have there to sum. If you entered 4, for example, now the sum is 4, right? And then the next time you enter 5, so you will add 5 to 4, that will be 9. So your sum will be 9. That's how it works. So data, okay. Okay, let me ask you this. What's the function of this statement, everybody? What's the function of that statement?
To determine whether to run the loop again or not.
Yes, this is to determine whether to run the loop or not. And also it gets a new number, right? So it really has two functions. It gets a new number so that you can accumulate the sum. And also, if the user doesn't enter a number, the user just press enter, you stop. Because if the user press enter, this would be false. Because the condition is data is not empty, right? So if you enter 4, data is not empty. So this is true. If you enter 5, data is not empty. This is true. But if you enter nothing, this becomes false. So that basically means this is not equal to this. That's false because it is equal to that, right? So here, when you enter nothing, it will give you this. It will get out. Do you all understand this, everybody?
Exclamation mark, exclamation mark equals, or it says wild data.
Is somehow when you answer the question, Joe, it doesn't
Cuts out.
breaks off. Can you ask the question again? It just
The exclamation mark where it says wild data. Can you explain what that means?
the H part. I still don't know what you're talking about.
I think he's talking about where it says while data not equal to the blank space. He's
Okay.
asking what the exclamation mark is, and that's just equal to not equal
okay.
to.
Okay. Yeah, I think, Joe, it's your internet. It's not continuous. So okay. Anyway, okay. This is what we discussed. When did we discuss this? This we discussed in the if-else state. The first time, I think. The first time. Okay. This is not equal to. Remember the. This is equal to, this is not equal to, this is less than, greater than, less than, or equal to, greater than, or equal to, everybody, okay? So here it's not equal to. Okay, any other questions? Let's look at this example, okay? Let's look at this exercise. Ask the user to enter an alphabetical character and print it out. Repeatedly perform this task until the user enters quit. So you will ask the user to enter something and you continue to do this. Print it out and ask again, print it out and ask again, and change it to exit when the user enters that. Okay. Okay, so let's do this first part. I will do this with you. Okay, I will do it. So when the user enters quit, we will quit. Let me just do the. Need to. Okay, let's do this. This is easier to write. Okay. Oh, I'm still recording, right? I didn't pause. I thought I paused. Okay, so we need to get the user input. And that is the, I forgot to ask you, everybody, actually, let's go back to look at this. I want to ask you, what is the loop control variable here in this code? What is the loop control variable?
Is it the wild data does not equal to?
That's a condition. I'm asking Macreen, what is the loop control variable? Which variable is controlling the loop?
Is it the sum?
Is it the sum?
Or is it data?
Or is it data? Which one? Which one is controlling the loop?
Data.
You say data. Okay, anyone else?
Data.
Yeah, I
Data.
think data.
Data. Why do you know which one is controlling the loop? Because it is used in the condition. Remember this condition, if it's true, you continue with the loop. If it's not true, you get out, right? So you look at this, which one is controlling the loop? This is used in this condition, so it is controlling the loop. So this is the loop control variable. And how is the loop control variable initialized, everybody?
With the input, the data is equal to input statement.
Yes, very good. Very, very good. Oh. Okay, so this is really initializing the loop control variable. It's very much like you are just doing data equals to something, right? Whatever you want there. So this is getting the user input. This is how you're initializing the loop control variable. If you look at these, this is how you initialize it, right? Okay, but here we are initializing it using the user input. And you don't know what it will be. It's entered by the user. So that's that. And this is the update statement, right? That is the update statement. Here, this is the update statement. Here, this is the update statement. So the update statement is not decrementing or incrementing. It is getting a new value. A new value updates this condition because new value might be nothing, empty. Then that will make this condition true and you will get a condition false and you will get out. Okay. So, okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, so ask the user to enter an alphabetical character and print it out repeatedly. Perform this task until the user enters quit. So we will have to write a loop. You have to initialize the loop control variable. And we want to, that character, obviously, that variable will control the loop, right? And we can call it, what do we want to call it? Character or user input. It's equal to, right? We get this from the user. We are not initializing it to A or B or something. We are getting it from the user. So input enter a character, enter quit. I'm using this quit, right? To quit. Okay, enter quit to quit. So, and then we will say while user input, remember that is the loop control variable. Am I recording? Yes. Okay, while user input is not equal to quit. Okay, everybody, can I do this? I'm going to ask you this. Can I do this?
Yes. No.
Yeah. But what if the user enters lowercase quit? Will that work?
No.
No.
No. Okay. So let's do this first. While user input is not to that, print user input. Right? Okay. And what else do we need to do? Think about the loop. We have 3 rules. 1, initialize the loop control variable. And in this case, this is the loop control variable. And have the logically correct condition. And what else?
Then you have to
Update.
Update.
Yeah,
Update. Yes. So we get new user input. I'm just going to copy this, right? Okay. Okay, so let's run. That should work. Okay, so let me call it what? Character. Okay. So let's run. I'm going to just close this. Okay, let's rerun. Okay, enter a character. So I will enter C. I should have a space there, right? It prints out C. E prints out E. And I can enter anything, right? It printed out echoes, really. Okay, well, if I enter quit, it still doesn't quit. Why? Tell me why.
The lowercase, it needs to
Lower,
be
because I entered lowercase, yes, okay. And now if I enter the correct uppercase, it will quit. So to modify this so that it will quit anytime, okay. So you will say user input is not equal to quit, and user input is not equal to lowercase quit. So if this condition is not true, if the user entered lowercase, let's think, okay. So if the user entered lowercase quit, this will not be true, right? This will be false. It will, this will be false. It will get out, okay. Yes, okay. So we use and. Let's run. I'm going to save. Okay. I don't like this. Let's give it a space. Here. Give it a space, right? Okay, that looks better. So, okay. Quit. It quits, right? Let's enter the uppercase quit. It quits. Okay, so do you understand this, everybody? So this will allow you to specify two conditions. You think about it. If the user entered lowercase quit, is this condition true?
Yes.
yes.
Yes, but because it's an and, you have to go on to evaluate, right? Is this condition true? If the user entered a lowercase quit, is this condition true?
No.
No. That's why the whole condition will be false and you get out. That's how this works. Okay, any questions about this? And once again, if you look at it, okay, this is getting the user input, and it's also initializing the loop control variable. And this is the condition, a compound condition. And this is the update of the condition, okay, of the user input. So now I said change it to exit when the user enters exclamation mark. So if the user enters exclamation mark, you quit. So how do we do that? I'm going to do this. So if you enter exclamation mark, you get out. How do you change the condition? You just change it to this, right? So if user input is not the exclamation mark, then you continue with the loop. If it is, this condition will be false and you get out. Okay, let's save and run. Right? If I enter that, that's why we call it an entry controlled loop. Because if the condition is not true the very first time, you quit. Okay. Okay, let's run it again. And now I can, right? And then you enter this, it doesn't quit. You enter this, it doesn't quit. But you enter that, it quits. Okay, that is how you work through that. Any questions, everybody? Is there a question in chat? I cannot see it. I cannot see chat. Ask the user to enter a number. State if the number is even or odd. Repeat this continuously until the number entered is at or greater than 1,000. What does that mean? That means if the number entered is not 1,000 and it is not greater than 1,000, then you continue, right? If it is 1,000 or greater than 1,000, then you stop. That's what that means, everybody. Okay, so
Wait a second. I have a question.
I am going to delete this one. I can just use it, right? User input. This time I want to make it more meaningful number. And because we are asking the user to enter a number, and enter, okay, we don't have to tell the user when to stop. The user can decide, because this is really, if the user enters an invalid number, we will stop. Okay, that's what that means. So because it's a number, we need to convert it to an int, right? So we do that. And why do I do this? I will just rewrite it, because changing it takes more time. Okay, while number. Okay, so here is the condition. It cannot be 1,000, right? It cannot be greater than 1,000. So we can do what? It's not equal to 1,000. And number, I'm doing it the roundabout way. Just know that is while it's not 100 and it's not greater than 1,000, which means it's less than 1,000, right?
Or we could
If
do
it's greater than 1,000, then it will not be okay. If it is less than, if it is greater than 1,000, that's not okay. If it is 1,000, that's not okay. So that's the two conditions. Less than.
Wait,
Less
could we
than.
just do the less than?
Okay.
Could we just do the less than?
I'm going through that gradually, Omkar. Okay, so this is, if you read the instruction, that's what it is saying, right? So now if you look at this and you think, well, isn't that just be less than 1,000, right? So we can change that condition. We can simplify the condition. You can list all your conditions out and decide how do we simplify it, right? And you can decide, should we combine them with and, or should we combine them with or? So in this case, we can simplify it. This basically means if number is less than 1,000, and then we go into the loop. If it is 1,000 or greater, we get out. So now we can do that. Okay. And what do we do again? We decide if the number is odd or even. So this is how we do the odd or even. If you use division, you still have to test the result, right? So we can simply use a modulus. Actually, we don't have to use the parentheses. So number modulus 2. So number modulus 2. Tell me what's the result of a number modulus 2? Am I recording? Yes, okay. What is the result? What is the result of any number modulus 2?
0 or 1.
0 or 1. You think about it. 5 divided by 2, it gives you 1. 4 divided by 2, it gives you 0. So any number modulus 2 will give you the result of 1 or 0. So if it is a 1, it is an odd number. If it is 0, it's an even number. Okay, so we can say if it is 0, then we state it is even. right? Okay. Else, that means it is 1. We print it is odd. Okay. And so this is showing you, I'm demonstrating that you're using an if-else statement within the while loop, right? What's the next step? We have to get a new number from the user, right? Okay, so let me ask you this. Can I do this? Is this okay?
No,
No, why not, Macreen?
because it takes it out of the while loop.
Loop body. Very good.
Yes.
Excellent. This is not okay because this is not inside the loop body. So it's not part of the loop. And then this will become an infinite loop. It will never end. Okay, so that's very important. Make sure if it's part of the loop, you need to indent it. Okay, let's run. It is odd, right? It is odd. It is even. And it is odd. Oh, it's greater than 1,000, so you get out, right? So that's how this is done. Any questions, everybody? Okay, let's talk about the modulus part. Everybody, do you remember? This is how you, so if modulus is different from division, if you do 20 divided by 4, that gives you 5, right? But if you do 20 modulus 4, you're looking at the remainder. So 20 divided by
Okay.
4, okay? This is the division. This is the modulus, right? Modulus is the remainder and division is the quotient. Okay, that is the modulus operator. This is the next slide, okay? Okay. Here, we finished this one, right? Okay, now let's look at this one. Count control with a while loop. Okay, counter control, I think that's what I meant. Use a while loop for a count control. Oh, count control. Okay, that means you count. Usually we really say counter control, count control loop. Okay, summation with a for loop. So this is how you get the summation with a for loop. Okay, if you look at this, you initialize sum to 0, and then this is the loop control variable. You start from 1, you stop before this number, which means you include 10,000, and then you add 1 to sum, and then 2, then 3, then 4, right, until this number, and then you print it out. Is this part of the loop, everybody? Is this part of the loop?
No.
No, it's not, okay? Because you see it's aligned with this line, right? Okay, now let's convert that to a while loop. So for a while loop, you remember we have to do 3 things. Initialize the loop control variable, have a logically correct condition, and update the loop control variable. So this is something we have to do because we are accumulating sum, and we initialize sum to its identity element, which is 0, right? If you are doing a product multiplication, you will initialize your product to what, everybody? You will initialize it to something that doesn't change your product. What is that?
1.
1, right? That's the identity element also. So for sum, you always initialize it to 0. For product, you always initialize it to 1. Okay, and this is the loop control variable. We initialize it to 1, just like this. And while count is less than or equal to this number. So this is exactly like this, right? That's the ending number. And I'm saying less than or equal to, so that includes this. Okay, now we accumulate the sum. We add 1 to 0. Now your sum is 1. I have this slide in the previous, in the for loop. So you can look at how it's accumulated. And then you increment count by 1 each time. This is done automatically here, but here you have to do it manually. And then you print out sum. Any questions about this? So this while loop is like you are expanding the for loop, right? You are this for loop is very much like it's collapsed. And here you are expanding it with these extra 3 statements, right? So that's that. Any questions, everybody? Okay. I will ask you to do this on your own. How about that? And I will do this together with you. So you will do these 2. Let's do the first one first. Okay. We did this already, actually. So I will give you 3 minutes to do that. 5 minutes to do this. 5 minutes for this one. I need to end the recording, right? Okay, so greeting, input until a greeting. Yeah, let's run.
I don't know how to do it 10 times, so.
You don't know how to do it 10 times. Okay, we cannot see the running, but this is not 10 times. Yes, it is what? It is when the user enters nothing, it will stop, right? Okay, can you share the screen, the running screen? We cannot see the other screen. Yeah. So if you simply press enter, it will stop. So it's not a definitive 10 times, right? It is the user deciding. So
I honestly forgot what the exercise was. I only saw like a glimpse of it. But is this what you were asking? Print it out 10 times?
okay, so for this one, you are printing out the greeting 10 times, but you are not asking the user to do it 10 times, right? So if you look at this, ask the user to enter a greeting and, oh, okay, that's what you did, right? Yeah, that's what you did. You actually did it correctly. I thought you asked times. That's what my intention was. But this is actually correct. Let's run it.
Oh, okay. I thought I...
Huh, that's scary.
Mhm.
Okay, yes, that's correct. Okay, that's why yes, thank you. That's correct. I think that, okay. So this is printing it out. Ask the user for input 10 times and you print it out 10 times. So if you look at this loop, this is the loop control variable here. Okay, it's different from the previous one, right? And you need to increment it. And you are performing this task 10 times. That's what that is. Okay. So you can really use a loop to do many different things. Ask the user to enter a greeting and ask the user to enter a number. Print out that greeting the user entered number of times. And this is what Omcar did, I think. So Omcar, you did this. So let's look at it again. Everybody, look at this. This is what.
Can I share my screen?
Yeah, just a minute. Let me let everybody read this again. Okay, ask the user to enter a greeting and ask the user to enter a number. Print out the greeting. The user entered number of times. If the user enters 4, you will print out the greeting 4 times. This is to use a count controlled loop. Okay, so that's what OMCARD did. So let's look at OMCARDs one more time. Okay, we are looking at this again. This is actually for the second exercise, right? OMCARD, you already finished. And so I initialize it to 0. J is the input from the user, and you convert it into an int. And then the condition is I is less than J, right? So if J is 4 or 10, then I will be less than that. You continue to the loop body and you print out the user input and you increment I because I controls the loop. And as I said, J is called, actually, I forgot to mention this, J is called a sentinel value. That means it's a value you want to look out for. It's the guard. It guards the loop. So once you reach that, it stops. Okay. 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 If the user enters 3, how many times does your loop run? You have to do 1 times 1 time your product times 1 times 2 times 3, right? So it's 3 times. So let's initialize it to 1. Okay. While count is less than or equal to whatever, I don't want to make it 0, but it doesn't matter because my product is there. But I did initialize it to 1. Okay, integer, right? Your product will be equal to product multiplied by 1 by count. Yeah, I cannot initialize it to 0 because I'm doing the product multiplied by count. So think about it. Okay, product is 1. I initialize it to 1. And this count is 1, right? The first time. And then we increment count. The second time count is 2. The third time count is 3. If you entered 3, then the third time it's still true. And you still do the multiplication. The fourth time when count is 4, you stop because this condition will be wrong, right? Okay, once again, this is for use. This is really the product you want to remember. So the identity element is 1. For some, we said that. For some, you should always initialize it to 0. For product, always initialize it to 1. And this is the count. This is a loop control variable. It also represents each number in that sequence from 1 to the number you entered for factorial, right? And so you increment count so that it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 until your number. And the condition is count is less than or equal to whatever number you entered. Let me do this. So it says n, right? I will just make it more vivid. Just say n, right? And here, this is n. Okay, so count starts from 1 and less than or equal to the number you entered based on this, right? Okay, let's run. Let's run. Okay, so if I enter 3, why does it not give me anything? Everybody, tell me why.
You didn't add a print statement at the end?
Yes, I didn't ask it to print. Okay. Okay, now let's see. If I enter 3, it gives you 6. Think about it. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. That's it, right? Let's run it again. Let's run 5. It gives you 120. That's correct, right? Okay. let's run 6. 6 should be what? 1 times 6 is 670, 702, right? 720. Oh. Oh, okay, I forgot to run. Okay, let's time under 6, 720. So this means it's correct. Do you understand this, everybody? So we did 1 and 2. I'm not going to do 3, okay? I give you the, for this one, I actually give you the formula for your exercise 3.3 actually. Okay. Oh, we haven't done this one yet. Okay, we will talk about that. What is the maximum number of guesses necessary to guess correctly a given number between the numbers? I gave you that formula, so you know that. For number 6, what happens when the programmer forgets to update the loop control variable in the while loop? What happens?
It will run
It'll just run
indefinitely.
forever.
Runtime error?
Not runtime error, not runtime error. It will run, but it will run infinitely. It will never stop because your condition never changes. Think about it. If your condition doesn't change, if you don't do this, okay, this condition will always be true. If you enter 5, n will be 5, your count will always be 1, and 1 is less than or equal to 5 will always be true. So that's why it will become an infinite loop. We call that an infinite loop. That means it never ends. Okay, that's that. So now let's go here. Okay, the while true loop. We will discuss this loop next time. Obviously, it's a different loop, so we will do that. And if you look at this, we don't have much, but I doubt that we will finish next time. So that's why I'm saying next Tuesday I want to continue. Stop recording.